Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be increasing the pot size for some of these slipper orchid seedlings here because they've, they're kind of really tangled, and some of them, kind of like this one, are I think a little big for a 2-inch pot. So I'm going to move some of these up a pot size. So over here, back on the floor of my grow tent, I got my pots. Probably not going to use all of them. And I have my mix here. So I've been moving around with mixes for my Paphiopedilums, and I've settled on this mostly inorganic mix of this pumice stone, and then some perlite. This is supposed to be medium perlite, but for some reason it's pretty fine. And then just some like whatever bark off of Amazon. I've personally found that this has been working really well for a lot of my paths. I'll show you some. So here's a seedling. This is Paphiopedilums, but apparently there looks like there's charcoal in this one too, but I don't have charcoal today. But look at that root. I mean, it's going crazy into there. And show you another example. This one is Paphiopedilum dayanum. And again, I mean, look at that root growth. This is all after repotting, and I mean, the plant can hold up this pot with the roots that it's grown into this super loose media. And so I think that's a pretty good sign that this media works for me. So we're gonna be investigating these a little. So these are in the media I first started using when these guys were deflasked about a year ago. So here, I'll put some down here first. There's a couple of species I'm gonna do today. Actually, it looks like I'm doing 2 species today. But so there's Paphiopedilum spicerianum and Ferianum. But basically, the mix that they are in before is a mixture of sphagnum and bark. And so I'm not sure how great that is going to be for the roots. I think there might be some perlite in some of them too. I don't know. I've done them so long ago, and I didn't think I took notes. Let's see if there's any more that need. Here we go, I'll take one more. So as you can see, these guys are getting pretty big for their pots. Especially this one. Like the leaf span is pretty nuts. I probably could leave it in here longer, but because I want to spread them out a little, repotting is a great place to start. So put my trash over here. So I'm just gonna mix this up, and we're gonna do a little bit of root investigation. So what I found in this old mix I had with sphagnum, bark, and perlite, I think perlite, is that the plants would make roots from above the soil surface, and then the roots would grow and elongate, and the moment they touched the media, they would be really upset and basically abort. I've noticed this has been better with this inorganic media, and that's why I've decided to go with it. So one thing I think might be happening is that sphagnum, because it holds a lot of water, maybe it was holding on to some of the fertilizer salts, and so when the moisture evaporated, it would concentrate the salts at the top. And I don't really flush the pots ever. Maybe I should have done that, but so it just wasn't working out for me. And so this new mix, I guess not new, but this different mix has been really great. So I want to start with this one. This is Paphiopedilum ferianum. Okay, and just as I say that they hate this mix, like the roots hate this mix, there's a root growing out the bottom of the pot. So maybe they don't hate this mix. Maybe they're actually fine with it. And maybe the surface roots just don't like it. Okay, so here we go. Find a container to hold this stuff. So I'm gonna just take out this tag first. And I'm gonna do the little squeeze and pull. Oh, that root's coming out with it, so that's good. I don't have to break anything. I should probably get some scissors. So this mix looks like it's bark, sphagnum, and perlite. Okay, now I'm a little hesitant on changing it for this plant because it seems to enjoy this mix. I know ferianum tends to like a little more wet, I think, in the growing season. Anyways, so I just want to peel away some of this sphagnum away from the roots. So this is a pleasant surprise for me because I was actually expecting way more unhealthy looking roots than this. Okay, there's a couple dead ones here, but we can snip that off. But actually, this is that's just because it's a OG root from when it was still in tissue culture. I'm gonna grab my scissors real quick. And they aren't in here, of course. I'll grab them in a sec. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these thinner roots you see here, like this, that's from when it was still in the flask, when I purchased it. And so all these thicker, more orange looking ones are all new, and they're looking pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that, actually. So I'm trying to get off as much of this old stuff as possible, just because when I move it, I want it to be really fresh. So for pot size, I got two sizes there, as you can see. The smaller one, and then this bigger one here. Really, it's just a little bit taller. If I put this in here, looks a little small, so I think I'm gonna go with the smaller size here. It's probably good. All right, so I don't want to be too destructive with the roots. So this is kind of what I will pull off. Maybe I'll bump off some of this perlite and stuff. But overall, this root system looks pretty good. Honestly, these roots are still kind of hard, so I wonder if they're still okay. Maybe I won't cut any of these because so if the roots are still hard, they're usually still okay. This one looks really black, not because it's rotten, but because it was covered in agar when I was taking it out of the flask. So Don't let the look deceive you. But yeah, I'm checking all of these new ones, and they're all really good, so guess I don't really need to cut too much. So I'm gonna move it into this pot here. Luckily, these leaves can just kind of rest on there. I'm still a little new to Paphiopedilums, so I'm one thing I'm not really sure is kind of how deep to bury them. That's too much. But I always start with a little bit at the bottom. And then I'll just fill it up. I feel like if I bury it too deep, then the bottom leaves rot, but if I don't bury it deep enough, I've noticed that they make a lot of roots above the soil, and then those don't really end up going anywhere. I think my mix is not very well mixed. So this mix, I don't think I mentioned, is it's I don't think I mentioned the ratios. 1 part of the 3 ingredients: perlite, pumice, and just like whatever orchid bark you can find. I've never tried orchiata or like the fancy mixes you can buy, just because I feel like it's not necessary. But that's just for me. So I'm just like tapping the pot here, make sure the medium really settles in well around the roots. As far as depth, I think I just try to go to the lowest leaf, and so hopefully that's what more experienced people and successful people do as well. Oh, I gotta write down the date. See if you can read this tag here. So this is Paphiopedilum. This was the 20th plant that I deflasked from this flask, and the cross is Half and Half by Sam's Gigantic, deflasked October 24th, 2023. So I'll put here repot, just RP. I'm just gonna put the month, so like November 11, 24. It's good to keep track of these things. Once you get a lot of plants, it's you start to forget things. Okay, so this guy's good. Once I water it, I think some of this stuff will settle even more. So let's move on to a spicier rhiannon here. So keep this pot for future use. I'll do this big guy first. So this one, a lot more algae on the top, and I think my mix probably has a lot more sphagnum. Have to see. Are there roots at the bottom? So there's no roots growing out the bottom of this one. But we'll see if they look okay. Okay. So once again, the top of the mix looks way worse than anything that's under here. And you can see the roots are actually like decent. I'm surprised. I'm saying that as if it's a bad thing, but obviously this is good. Just not what I was anticipating. Looks like there's a new growth coming out too, right here. With them. So that'll be another fan. When digging around, it's hard to tell what's a root sometimes. That's why I'm going really slow with this. Just to make sure I'm not ripping off roots. Oh, I have some eggshells here. I tried. Didn't really notice that it did anything. But then again, I didn't do a no eggshell comparison, so can't really make any statements about that. Can just say I added eggshells and the plants are still alive. It's just a clump of moss here we're trying to get out. Okay. I am pleasantly surprised. Again, this is absolutely not what I was expecting. I was expecting probably a lot more rotten roots and a lot smaller of a root system. But I will not be upset about that. I just ripped off dead roots there because they were soft instead of cutting it. So, I mean, this is smaller than the Pharynum root system, but I mean it's still great root system. And I'm gonna go for one of these smaller ones again. So I think this might be a 2.5 inch. Honestly, I don't know. I just saved this from something else, so maybe it's 3 inches. This is like 10 centimeters. But anyways, so again, this guy kind of just sits nicely in the pot. Put this in there. Boop. Okay. So again, once it's full, you can make it compact a little more. You see over here, it's all the stuff is falling in. So if I'm using sphagnum, sometimes I'll give a little push like that. But because this is all kind of hard substrate materials, I'm not gonna push it. I'm gonna let gravity do the work for me. So this one was Paphiopedilums spicerianum, number 17, and I deflasked this one on October 21st, 2023. So now it's repotted. So RP 11, 24, just like that. Just to keep track. Alrighty, moving on. Here's another one that has a bunch of little new growths. Hopefully, so I'm just gonna get right into this. No roots at the bottom again. Okay. See, this one had a lot more sphagnum compacted, and this is what I was kind of expecting out of it. See how there's like no really good roots. I mean, I'm shocked that this thing is still growing so well. So hats off to this plant, but I mean this root system sucks. So good thing I caught this. And I'll move it over to something that'll hopefully be a little better. I wonder if this is an appropriately sized pot. Probably is, because there's so many growths. So I mentioned earlier that this perlite's kind of small. Now that I'm like using it, I think that's actually a good thing, because what happens is the pumice and the bark leave really big gaping holes that the perlite ultimately will just naturally fill in because it's smaller. I wonder if this will even stay up because it has... Okay, yes it will. There's no need to really compact this that much because there's no roots for this to... There's no roots blocking it. So however this settles is kind of how it will settle. Okay, here we go. I think I'll write all these tags. And here, my hands are getting a little dusty. This one was number 16. So, let's see what this next one has in store. Okay, this one also has some mini growths coming up. This feels really heavy because I just watered today. But what that's telling me is that there's probably a lot of moss at the bottom of this one too. Yeah. Okay. So I might actually have to do a lot more repotting than I anticipated. This one. Oh, you see there? Right there. That's a new root tip. That's about to die because it's gonna go into the medium that it doesn't like. So, good thing we caught this. See that? It's not focusing. But okay, let's see what the other two look like since we're. This one doesn't feel as heavy. It's a little bit stuck actually. Let's see. Yeah, so this one has significantly less sphagnum moss. And it has some roots. See that? These orange things here. So, don't want to make any hard conclusions, but just a trend that I'm seeing is that the more sphagnum there is, the worse off the plants do. And this is pretty consistent with some other results I saw in my Masdevallias. Unless it was 100% sphagnum, the mixes with sphagnum were really, really bad for the plants. Like they hardly grew at all. Ones in pure bark did well. The ones in pure sphagnum also did well. The ones in the sphagnum mix were awful. This one has a lot of growth coming. But again, I don't think there's a lot of sphagnum in this. Yeah, oh my gosh, look at that pathetic root system. Well, good catch, I guess. So this one has 3 growths coming. Nice. And they're all a little bigger than their 2-inch pots can really provide, so I think I'll move all of these up to this slightly bigger pot, whatever it is, whatever size it is. Just make sure the tanks are Let's do this one. Plants are tough. He's okay. So I'm curious how much longer it would have survived in that pot with that nasty medium. Probably would have lived but never bloomed, I guess. My prediction now, though, is because this is a blooming sized plant, there is a sibling from this cross that has already started to put on a spike. Prediction is that in a couple months these will actually put out a flower. Let's see if I'm right on that one. There's a lot of little perlites down there. Yeah, surprised that these are putting out so many growths despite having like no roots. I'm also surprised that they're able to take up water to be alive. I guess that tells you how effective just having a couple roots are. If something like this with basically no roots can support the water need of such a large, relatively large plant. So that one's burying that one. I don't suspect it to. I think it'll come out eventually. Get this last one. So you can see actually on this one, these were leaves from originally inside the flask. See how much narrower they are? And then it grew, I guess it grew like 4 leaves in a year. And each one was bigger and bigger. So I want to thank everyone for sticking around. Quickly show you kind of how they look in their new pots. So here's the Fairyinum. Really nice seedling. Hopefully will bloom for me within a year. And then I got these 5 Spiceriniums. Also appear nice on the surface, but you know, so as we saw in the video, some of the roots are trash. But anyways, thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. Curious to see what people grow, what medium people grow Paphiopedilums in. So let me know down in the comments if you use a different media and why you like that different media. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.